Welcome back to the Telusive Tech Podcast after a
I am
very
the
long
one who
hiatus.
knocks. I feel like I was doing some Breaking Bad, holding this whole platform hostage. But thank you to everyone who subscribed and got us monetized on EV. I was just talking with Drew about this seconds ago. I said, let's not hold this hostage again. Let's do this first so we're refreshed.
I'm a man of my word.
I'm
We're
not going
back.
to kill you. I'm just going to hurt you. Really, really badly. So I can do
That was We Crashed, right?
That was, yes. Yeah. Anyway.
Great show on Apple TV Plus. Speaking of Apple, I need to know.
I missed this.
see how my effective segues.
I love it.
I need to know, Randy.
Okay.
Show me the digital crown. Are you a grid view or a list view?
I'm glad you're asking because at the time of recording this, you had just posted this video and I watched it.
Yeah.
And on Twitter, people were, first of all, good job to us for having such clean, minimalistic Twitter handles.
So speaking of Twitter.
Yeah, wait.
Yeah.
And so someone was like, I don't know who's who. I was like, well, Drew and I are basically the same in the Telusive family. You'll find very little we disagree on. A tweet from him is an endorsement from me and vice versa. And
Yes,
then
I have
you
more
had
thoughts
posted
on that.
and you made me a liar.
Oh! Wow. So you're
made
wrong.
me- no, you're wrong. Since it's so fresh in my head, I'm ready to go toe to toe with you on this.
All right, let's hear it. I want to know why you choose list view.
Okay. I will go first only because you already made your case in a dedicated video.
Yeah. That's fair.
One, actually, you know what? Let me take the watch off.
I don't know.
For our YouTube watchers, I just want to show you guys this. Very few complications or quick thing, whatever you want to call them. Very few I use, but the one I do use is setting. And when I click on the button, it doesn't start at the top. It goes where I was last at. See?
Oh, okay.
So you don't lose your spot in line. What I liked about the honeycomb was that you can move the widgets to be closer to the dial, and it's right there. Effectively, I do the same thing here, and the things that I used are settings and timer, stopwatch, all that stuff right down here. I use those, and that's pretty much it. Everything else I kind of mapped to already do its own thing. So when you talk about the cards here. Apple Card, nice. When you talk about the cards here, I have everything that I kind of want to access there. But the thing is, you I forget the analogy that you call it. You made a mountain out of an anthill. I think that's how that goes.
What is this? A watch for ants?
It needs to be at least 3 times bigger. He's absolutely right.
That's Tim Cook looking at the iPhone.
What is this?
5.
A settings for ants?
No, there's more points towards the grid view that I didn't bring in the video.
Oh,
that I will die by.
all right. Let's do a little what was it? Sparring with the swords? Jousting.
Yeah.
I took a nod.
Jousting of the pencil.
Oh yeah, here it is. Let's go. All right. If you strike me down, Andrew, I'll become more powerful than you can ever imagine.
Than either of us. So,
all right. I do one, you do one. We'll go back and forth. Let's do this.
The one I didn't mention in the video that I wish I did while editing is that I like minimal, clean, like Twitter, watch faces.
Yes.
And my watch face as of right now is very battery friendly. Most of the pixels are off. It's very basic. It's just the time. This watch keeps time. It's very simple. But
where's Nick when we need him?
sometimes
This series passes time. All right, go ahead.
He's replacing his cameras that were destroyed by Starship.
R.I.P.
That's where he
man.
is.
All right.
We have a lot to catch up on this week.
I know.
But when 2 weeks, that's why. When you are looking to count down
Yeah.
to the top of the minute or top of the hour, like when I'm getting ready to go live or something, the grid view jumps and you see a analog, well, not analog, what? The hand style.
No, you're right. It's
What's that
analog.
called? Yeah.
That's analog.
You see a regular type where the second hand is moving on that icon. And so okay, I've got 20 seconds left, 30 seconds left. And you have that option even if you happen to select a watch face that doesn't have a second hand. When I want to check as it gets closer to the top of the minute, top of the hour, I just go to the home feed and I watch it get closer and closer. And then I go, okay, I'm there. Rather than jump to a different watch face or something. So I use that quite a bit. And again, what I did say in the video is you have like 15 or 16 quick launching selections. So the most common apps you circle around the watch icon, and then in the list view it's more up down, up down, up down. Got activity way up here, settings way down here. Okay, right. Go.
My turn. Out of those 15 icons that you have there, I want to ask the question, but I'm just going to say I already know the answer. You don't use all of them. You don't use hardly any of them. Previous conversation.
Okay. I'll let you finish. Sorry.
Previous conversation. Oh, I'm sorry. Is it your turn, Drew? Now you say something. Okay. We all, in a different context, back when we were allies, we had said that we used the watch more as a notification center of sorts for us on everything that's being pushed from the phone. So much so that at the time, unless your stance has changed, you don't have Apple Watch exclusive apps on your Apple Watch. Everything is from the iPhone. Whereas, like, I actually use Fidelity as one of my brokerages. There's a dedicated app for the watch that I use, and I like using that for tracking stuff. But Audible's another one. Where? Oh, okay. I was like, where was I going with this? All those icons that you have there, all those apps, you don't. Yeah. That's not minimal. 1, 2. You don't use them all at once. You can only get into one at a time. 3. You don't use out of those 15. I would say, and I'm going to be sparingly here, I'll give you 5. So if I'm wrong, you can say I'm wrong. But then I'm also talking to the greater stance of that, like, we don't need all that information put in your face. What's more minimal than a list grid giving you the same information where, like your watch, you have your watch face, where it's just the time, the list, fewer apps. I click on it and I'm always at settings. This is embarrassing. Well, it's not embarrassing. It's just a matter of who I am. I stay in the S's because I have the Starbucks app is another one because I like to scan my code if I ever go in to get my stars. So Starbucks, everything that I have,
stopwatch, just settings,
it all kind of stays right there. Workout. I have a dedicated button on my face that I start the walk when I me and Sage go for a walk. So I like the customization of what we could do. Unlike you, my watch is not minimal, even though I do have I love our slides that we have here. That I can just
slide you can swipe between them.
So there's my minimal watch. I do this for when I go out to date dinners with my wife. This one is my day-to-day. This was back when she was pregnant, but all this I like to refresh it every now and then. But my most used one is temperature, sunset, workout, and a quick launch to this camera.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, my argument against that is no, I don't necessarily use all 15, but they are there on the off chance that you want them, but they are also customizable. Whereas as far as I can tell, the list view, you basically just have to abide by. It'd be different if it was like ranked based on screen time or something.
Yeah.
Like, okay, your most common one, it jumps
like
to
the
that,
workout app.
Yeah. But on this setup, you can rearrange them to put whichever ones you want close to the clock. Whereas on that, you're just hopeful that Starbucks is, your coffee joint happens to start with the letter S.
And what I say to you, sir, is this is an example of a mountain out of an anthill. It's not that big of a deal. The whole taking up
it's
an
the
extra
tech community. Nothing said.
Look, we found to make a redesigned watch face news today for the podcast. So, let's keep things grounded into context about what's happening here. But all right. Let's say it is a big deal. Let's say everything is this is about as big deal as losing legacy verified accounts, all right? It's all a big deal. So, to that, they lost theirs, by the way. That is a thing, ladies and gentlemen. We are recording on the 20th, and true to his word, I have seen some very salty tech tubers who I don't follow, but got somehow pushed to my For You page, and it's either apologetic people like Marquez saying like, listen, yep, I'm gonna get roasted for this, and like people are like, don't be mean to me, or other people's like, yeah, I don't need it. Justine is one who's like, well, that's sad. So there it is, you know. But anyway, so let's say it is a big deal. Scrolling a whole, moment of your life. Oh, I gotta find it.
Hey, I mean, people said the same logic against the whole watch. They'd say, I can just pull my phone out of my pocket. Why do I need an Apple Watch? That was what everyone was saying.
Click the button. Even more minimal. Just say, open this.
Who?
That thing that's gonna compete with GPT-4 or whatever.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, okay. Let me give you some ground here. I'm gonna concede something to you, so that way I can go back on the offense.
My mount. It's over, Anakin.
I have the mountain.
I have the grid view.
You underestimate my honeycomb. Don't try it. I will say this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily care for what?
I thought that was the end of the thought.
Oh,
I don't care. That's it.
I don't necessarily care. That's it. I'm done.
Okay.
I don't necessarily care for the whole naming convention next to the app because, like you, preference. I know what each app is, and so I kind of like that. I'm so minimalistic. It's the same thing with the complications on my watch face. I know what is what, so I
wish you could take them off this.
Please, I'll buy that pack from Apple or whatever. I'll buy that.
Theme pack.
Yeah.
No labels on the apps. That's it. That's all that changes.
So I'm a visual.
Yes.
I'm a visual learner, and I'm a visual just interactor, I guess. So I would take away the names if I could. The thing is, there'd be all this dead space. So now comes to the premise of all this. I did not know until watching your video, and then I just happened to jump on Twitter, and I think Nakia had said something. I did not know that a redesigned, like when you click it to the menu, was coming, and they're gonna. It seems to me
all the leaks are correct. So
100%, yeah. So it looks like they are going to fill the dead space. They'll take away the names and fill the dead space with like what would be on the home screen of the iPhone. I would prefer that over the grid view, but I honestly, meet me in the middle. Apple, not you, in our little debate here. Mm-hmm. Let me remove apps the way you can on iPhone. Let me just if I can clean it up and just get rid of all. I don't use the remote button. I don't use.
You can't delete it?
Noise. I don't think you can. Because when I hold it down.
Let me see. Well, you need to be in grid view. Because I got the
oh my goodness.
X. Oh.
I can. But wait, not all of them.
I see the X. But the remote one, I see an X.
I do.
I'm holding it up to the camera so I have less editing to do later.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I can't delete home. I can't delete voice memos. I can't delete compass.
Reminder, you can't delete phone.
There's a bunch of things you can't. It's weird how they decide what you can and can't. Like
I'm
podcast app.
Tips.
You can't delete.
That's so
ECG,
weird.
You can.
Again, weird.
There's not really much of a rhyme. Settings, I understand. That would be complicated. So, based on that rendering that you saw that people were discussing, would you consider that? So we have list view, which is what you use. We have grid view, which is the correct one, and you want to see app library? Is that what you would call it?
The thing is, I don't Here's now where we were just joking about it a moment ago.
Kind of
I don't care. Everything I need.
It does look cleaner, I think.
It does. It does look cleaner. It's don't take away the grid or the honeycomb.
Agreed.
Keep both and give an option the way you do, customizable wallpapers now. Add options. I use almost none of them, with the exception of where I kind of place it in the list. Everything I need, what I use my watch for, is on the watch face itself, and that is how I've trained my body to do this for the last 9 years. I don't want to relearn it. So, yeah, 9 years. Next year's 10 years, man.
Dang.
Yeah.
I feel like that Matt Damon gif from Saving Private. What was that? Apple Watch Series 10.
The only reason why it's not that, it's going to get Series X because we skipped a year and a half between 1 and 2 or 2 to 3 or whatever. So we lost the rotation of that, which I was...
Is there a Series 9 if there's no iPhone 9?
You know? I say no. Don't do a Series X or 10.
There is an iPad 9th gen, and we did have like iOS 9.
Nobody uses iPad.
The i what? Excuse me.
You mean iOS on a bigger display? Yeah.
The big iPod. Can we officially just rebrand it to iPod Max?
iPod Max 16. It has about much utility.
I have iPod Ultra here. It's the 12.9 inch.
My wife is using the mini right now to talk with her mom, but I always get an iPad ready just in case we're gonna roast it. So I also got my iPod Ultra right here, ready to go.
I've got a couple that we can roast at the ready, but
so let me make one more case about the grid.
No.
Okay.
That's fine. Go ahead.
No, I would say the overall use case. Let me be more lenient. The only thing I didn't really agree with you because when you said when you click the action button.
To me, that's like, okay, you have a list view of your most common apps when you press the side button, and then home screen can be reserved for Digital Crown.
Yes, but the thing is, this is just the what was it on the iPhone when you swipe up? That's
multitasking.
This is multitasking. Like we have this everywhere, and you could close it all out if you want. Unlike multitasking, I think there's a close all button. I'm pretty sure. Oh, there's not. Make me a liar. I thought there was. Well,
yeah, there's an all apps button.
Yeah, that's not what I'm talking about.
What does that say for you? Does it have a different icon? For me, the all apps button is the grid view.
For me.
Come on. Oh, wow. It is different.
It's list. Yep.
Good job, Kevin. Excellent attention to detail on the WatchOS.
He's done well for the last 9 years.
Yeah. The WatchOS team is so thorough with making sure they've come up with every possible use case of the watch. It's the complete opposite of the iPadOS team.
I like your coverage on that. I agree so much that do you think all of us, even you and I, as we kind of go, back and forth on this, do you think Apple Watch is taken for granted, the hardware and the software, or do you think maybe in some elements it's overkill and it is overrated, or because you had me thinking when you were doing the comparison of Apple Watch and iPad and that juxtaposition of the two, I'm like, wow, we almost made a challenge years ago about using cellular on our watch, and that was going to be our daily driver. But then reality kicks in. It's like, I'm forcing myself to leave the phone at home. That's not the same. But I think I take Apple Watch for granted, to be honest with you, because you bring up good points. Regardless, I'd say there's good points on both sides with however you want the grid. Just the fact that there's these types of options and customizations that we can do. Nothing like that on the iPad.
That's true.
I don't use the full potential of my watch, which is why another reason I couldn't justify keeping the Ultra, because I don't use the full potential of the Series 7.
Yeah, I don't know if overkill or overrated is the right term, but like I would say it matured very quickly. You know, it's not been around as long as the iPhone.
No, I asked
or the
you, do we
iPad
take it
has.
for granted?
Like you and me or everyone? Like
Community. Tech enthusiasts.
community.
Apple
Yeah.
sheep.
Yeah, I would say it's underappreciated. So I guess that's another way of saying we take it for granted. We just kind of gloss over the fact that Apple suddenly became the number one watch brand in the world, which is kind of incredible when you think of how old watches are. It predates phones of all kind, not just cell phones, but all phones. There's been watches since before that. Watches before computers, of course.
Watches
And
before
they just
cars?
kind of, yeah, that's true. It's a tech field that Apple's involved in that predates, I think, headphones. I think there was,
I think the first headphone would have been that, hello operator.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So if there's no phone,
That's how they talk back then.
hello.
It is
Sorry.
an underappreciated piece of the ecosystem, and I've been pushing people, downgrading to older phones and stuff, and I've been saying you don't need the latest greatest in this. But something I haven't budged much on when it came to the ringer switch is I was like, we don't need a ringer switch because the Apple Watch is the solution. And I know that sounds like an Apple sheepy Tim Cook,
Upsell.
You could buy your mom an iPhone. It sounds like an upsell thing. But I'm like, no, I feel like it enhances the iPhone experience so much that it's genuinely something I just recommend people get, even
On
with
guard
the
again.
budget.
I want to make a case for the Switch.
Randy found a real use for the pencil.
This is the most use I'm using this week. On guard again for the volume
Okay.
switch thing. My wife, who we both know to be a very intelligent and far superior person than I,
You do
has
know
an
her.
app. She has an Apple Watch, and she doesn't wear it often, even though I bought it
Same.
for her. Yep. So
I didn't buy hers.
I was like, hey, good job. You completed boot camp. Merry Christmas, happy birthday, whatever. It's just a gift thing. But so she doesn't wear it often because I put myself, I will say my bias up front is that, like you, I wear my watch so often that, yes, I agree that this could be a viable solution. But then I watch or no watch, there are actually times now with the distraction of a screaming baby in our ears that it is so beneficial to actually hear the phone go off, and actually prompted me to actually have no orange on mine. So I actually have the volume off
Wow.
on the off chance that I actually take off this watch a lot because my kid likes to activate my camera because it's a quick feature. And I have 30-minute videos of nothing going on in my phone of just me going, "Who's that baby doing?" So, because he's pushing the buttons on my, it's just whatever. But I actually find more utility of having an independent button, which is why I'm no solid state nothing on the next iPhone is have the switch there.
You called it.
Yeah. But I'm now telling you there was a bit of a bias there because I'm like, man, it is a useful feature for those who kind of need it. People who might be, handy capable and rely more on sound than maybe tactile motion. I could see a case for it. And somebody told us either on Twitter or it might have been Twitter. And it might have been about EVs. I don't remember anymore. But somebody told us that it's harder to remove a feature once you've added it without there being more backlash. Whether it's the headphone jack, even though that was always
I also
there.
heard that. I'm trying to remember where I heard that. But
I'm
you're right.
pretty
I totally
sure
read that.
we were talking about it. I'm pretty sure we were talking about FSD because I feel like that's the only conversation
Okay.
you and I were like, no, you're not listening to us. This is what we're trying to say. And someone's like, it's harder to
Or was
take
it
away.
the sonar thing?
It could have been. That's true. Maybe it was that.
They took away.
Either way, somebody makes the case that I was thinking about it because there's some truth to that. That if you add something and then take it away, that gets more headlines and that gets more pushback than the functionality of the thing actually being obsolete. 3D Touch is an example of that, which I don't have.
Apple removes things all the time.
Apple does, and every time
they love to remove things.
and we as a collective love to push back just to make noise, whether we actually see value in it or not. Even though Apple,
Do you feel like that's intentional?
Yeah.
I almost feel like that's what the solid state button thing felt like. It was like, does this really help with anything? Like they were gonna have to add more Taptic engines and make it more complex. How does it work with cases and pressure and all that? And I was like, it felt like the design team was just like, well, we wanted to go portless, and now we can't do that. We need something else to anger people. We got. I want something to be controversial so that it.
News is bad news, and there's no such thing as bad publicity. And Apple knows they are the big kid on the block, and there's always something gunning for them, and they welcome it because they flex on
the
be
logo reposition. Remember how big a story that was?
Yeah,
that the Apple logo had moved to the center. It's like people were so angry, and now it's like, oh yeah,
yeah. Naturally, it should be centered. How are we supposed to know if I can recycle this? Apple. Look at the notch. My goodness, the notch.
Yeah.
The notch was crucified after the first year. When before that, nobody batted an eye, and they were just like, the Samsung commercial with the family having the haircut like that. Like people attacked a non-issue, completely disregarding what it made obsolete going forward, and the fact that it is a standard now. Every time Apple did something controversial, everybody, companies especially, hope Apple does it first, so then they can justify it. The cable charging brick, the headphones,
headphone jack
plus headphones, the notch. The
next thing will be eSIM only. That's probably the
guarantee it. Oh my goodness, that's so true. That's gonna be a thing.
Yeah.
And people will somehow just then forget, like like they weren't irate about it, which is kind of funny because at the end of the day, Apple still wins. So they get what they want. They just mass adoption.
Right.
Now we have this thing called MagSafe, and you can pad in our stuff, and we'll make a whole nother accessory department out of it and make bucks out of it. I mean,
true.
Wireless headphones have never been more vibrant outside of the ecosystem as well. Says the guy who's has a cable right now, but
there's lots of air frauds out there.
There are air frauds, and it makes every Google or Samsung goes, wait, we can do that, and then they start removing the headphone jack or the power brick or the headphones and then they're like, oh,
after boasting about it a year before.
Oh,
bragging
you've
how
heard
they
of
had
Google
it.
Pixels, yes. Yeah.
Yep.
Controversy
it's very fake.
is good for the short term. Like I actually believe that Apple does not care. They're like, nah, whatever. Whether or not we agree with it or not, Apple doesn't care. They're like, we'll let the market decide.
It seems like they like that. It's like if you have more hot topics like that to go back and forth on, you're just in the media more. They want that.
They don't have another iPhone to throw
going
out there.
back and forth on waveform about ringer switch / solid state buttons. It's like, hey, we've occupied more screen time.
Yeah.
So they don't even have to sell us on it.
They get one big launch a year, and then they have to find a way to kill the time for the rest of the 11 months. Okay, you have Dub. That's one of the. Now you got 10 more months. Okay, mid-cycle refresh was something that's there for like a
Yellow
week.
iPhone.
So, that's there for a week. So effectively, you have 10 months of dead air space. Heck yeah, I'm going to stir the pot. If they were a social media company, they would have done the blue check mark thing a long time ago.
Ping verified.
Apple Music Connect.
Yeah, right. That had the whole. Wasn't the symbol?
Yep.
For Connect? Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a thing, wasn't it? Well, you brought up Twitter. I feel so bad for Riley Lynch trying to do the time codes for these podcasts. We're bouncing.
It's okay.
We go back and forth and back and forth.
We're doing it live.
We're doing it live, but
I'm not going to charge you money to watch this live.
Not yet.
Not yet. $8.
So they finally, as of the time of recording this, they finally removed the legacy verification, and I've never been happier to use Twitter for Mac because now absolutely no one is verified. Doesn't matter if you paid for Blue or if you were legacy verified. It's just everyone is back to normal. No verification. And we talked on this show how much I despise the whole obsession with the badges and the checkmark thing. So now I'm like, there's no ads. It's all as it should be. It's all.
What would
it's
it
really
take
quite beautiful.
Apple, man, come on, Randy, get it together. What would it take Twitter to get you to subscribe to them? Is it an ad-free experience, or would it be the monetization as the driving force?
Yeah, the monetization. I'm pretty sure it would. I use it, but it's just mostly for text and news.
Yeah.
And it's not so much video watching. So for a platform like that, I can't justify spending money. I justify YouTube because I spend so much time watching it.
Yeah.
And the ads are they're there. And a lot of them you can't skip. And, there was a little week in between switching my premium subscription where I had ads on YouTube again when I was changing email addresses and everything. And, I was reminded how painful it is. It's like, dang, this really sucks. Where you're just like waiting to watch something and you just have to sit there. And Twitter's not like that. I mean, you get an ad, but you just keep going,
YouTube
or
is,
you use Twitter for Mac.
Yeah, YouTube is in a league of its own. Truly, there's no contender to that. Twitter.
Plus, there's music and downloads and all kinds of perks.
What Elon wants Twitter to be, with it being X Corp, it's gonna require revamping a lot of the infrastructure, because Twitter is more akin to watching. Like if we're talking video content, because they kind of have like the swipe up feature, you are more akin to being in the Instagram space, not YouTube. And I mean, I know we're kind of biased because of how we get our information out there, but ain't nobody going to Instagram for exclusives or wanting to see something. Not as a content creator. It's a very like quick transactional. I jump on, scroll, see the thing, watch the story, whatever, in and out. I'm not on Instagram a lot. When I get on, I'm off, in and out pretty quickly. YouTube can take half a day from me.
Yeah.
Willingly. Sure.
Right.
Yeah, I'll watch a deep dive.
That's what I was doing before we started recording this.
I was literally watching the Ioniq 6 thing. I was like, oh,
yeah.
Look at that. It's in the background.
The total screen time consumed, I feel like, is much higher there, and Twitter might be trying to change that, but that's the only way I would consider signing up, is if it would warrant, like, okay, you sign up for Twitter Blue, you'll make it back through ad revenue or whatever. I have applied for the subscriptions feature.
Yeah.
How's
that going?
Not been approved for it. I'm still waiting.
What are you going to do?
I'm wondering if I'm still trying to figure it out, but what I've gotten so far is channel members. I already provide like posts on upcoming videos or polls on future videos, so I thought that would be easy to also offer on Twitter if people want to support through that for whatever reason. And the other one that YouTube makes difficult to offer through the membership perk, like I can't really do it through Talos of Tech Plus, but I've been saying for years, I wish you could become a channel member and then that would take off ads from that channel.
Yeah.
It would be cheaper than premium, because premium's pretty expensive and most people on YouTube don't have premium, and I don't fault you for it. I'm amazed how much people put up with all the ads, but there's some countries where it's just not available, or there's just some people who can't justify it. They're just like, yeah, whatever, I'll put up with the ads. But I was like, if there was a cheap way for like $2 or $3 a month, you support an individual creator and now you don't get any ads because I don't do sponsorships. So you could watch my videos on Twitter and you don't have to sit through 2 ads like you do on YouTube, and you don't have to pay the 12 or 15 bucks a month for premium. I thought, yeah, maybe some people might go for that. Not a lot, but I mostly was more interested in I think when it comes to news sites like Twitter, the ad space, and the same thing with YouTube. I appreciate the support through Super Chat and channel memberships and what have you, but still, both for our podcasts and for my videos, ad revenue is the biggest income stream. That's what most of it comes from.
People who don't pay for a premium, to my understanding, because I kind of did a survey of my own, that they will most likely watch it on a desktop and thus introduce an ad blocker. And they I know it's kind of hurting the creator on the back end, but they're like, I don't really go that far into thinking about the effects of it. I just want my experience to be seamless, and it does come down to money. They're like, I don't want to pay $12, $13, $15 for that's. I don't pay that for Netflix, they say. So they're like, I'm not interested in that. I just ad block, and it might take people out of making money, but what I want from the platform outweighs what you want from the platform. It's a very selfish headspace, but it was an honest response I got. And I heard that from multiple people. I was like, oh, you guys actually do this. Because I'm over here, it's like, oh, you guys got premium. Oh, YouTube, because they pulled up the YouTube on their phone. I was like, wait, you don't have premium? They're like, oh, I don't really. No, I see ad banners. And I'm like, oh, that's a thing. They're like, I don't really use it on the phone. I do it on the desktop. Why? It's like, because ad blocker. And then I'm like, yo.
What's ironic is that's what makes the ads worse. You're wondering, like, they keep adding more ads to it. I'm like, well, it's because they're not getting the same ad revenue they used to, because there's more people using ad blocks. It's this vicious cycle. It's this, I will not have to put up with it, or I will not pay for it, but others should. It creates this bad, so the ads get worse because there's more people using ad block. Whereas, while annoying to put up with the ads or annoying to pay for premium, there is a sustainable relationship that we can maintain. Content creators are reimbursed. Platform costs money to maintain. So that's why I'm a believer in it, even though I can't stop people from using ad block. It's not, and whatever people say, it's not technically illegal under the blah, 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 whatever.
Yeah.
I can't stop you, but it's just not helpful is all I'm saying to those who do it. It doesn't get us closer to an easier solution. But so far I was seeing I think there was a channel, I don't really watch him, but there was a channel called Stephen Mark Ryan that was trying to post a video, and YouTube yesterday was having processing issues, and I'm still seeing them today, where you upload and it's not done, it's not full HD or whatever for a long time. It was like several hours. And Elon was like, why don't you upload it to Twitter for your subscribers or whatever? And they were like, the file size limit for videos is 2 gigs. And they were like, that's not very good. But they were like, you can upload 1080p up to an hour long, as long as it's under 2 gigs. So everyone's have to compress them to 720. So there's still some work to be done on the video aspect side of it, and I'm like rooting for it and everything, but honestly I've been pretty angry with most of the changes they've made. Not all the things I was excited for, they haven't really done, so I feel like I'm still waiting for them to get to the good stuff. This just seems like a lot of fuss about check marks, which I think is so surface level, and it's so like perception based. It's so just like, how do I look? What do you think? It's fashion is what it is. Digital fashion. It's like, I want that badge. But that's the funny thing is, like, when everyone has it, I feel like it starts to lose.
Then it's Twitter on the Mac.
Yeah. I love Twitter on the Mac because it's just removed all that. And I love that we figured out a way to just eliminate the display name It makes everything else look so redundant to have 9to5Mac at 9to5Mac, Mac Rumors at Mac Rumors, MKBHD at MKBHD. You know, it feels so overkill that I'm so happy we figured out the way to just eliminate it, and it's just empty, even if it confuses Technophile. It's still... It's like, well, now you know who's talking to you when you get that notification. It's either me, or Randy, or...
But the fact that I saw this morning, I just, live carry on, so I get back to it. He's like, what if I, at this time, he quoted my pinned tweet about my son being born, and he's like, that'll confuse me who it is, and my response, I haven't had time to curate the tweet for it, but my response to that is that if you have notifications turned on, I would hope that you're not just if I'm just a notification for you instead of you being on the platform, I kind of feel like you're using notifications wrong for that context.
I don't have push notifications on Twitter, for the record.
I don't have push notifications on for anything.
iMessage?
That doesn't count.
I was gonna say, I get a text,
phone calls, FaceTime, and iMessage.
Those aren't real notifications.
That's basically you being in the room with me. If you have my iMessage, then you supersede all others. But
that's just like speaking. Yeah.
I mean, I don't even have notifications for email. Like, I've turned off
I
all
don't either.
notifications.
Yeah.
So,
well, those aren't like as urgent, It's like I will check on that when I get to the app. I don't want to be outside of that app doing something else and then get notified. But maybe that's just because we interact with a lot of people online. I don't know, but
it's also like, I think it's just how our workflow kind of. You and I text each other, hey, I'm ready to go at this time. Cool, pop. And the moment I said that, I immediately went to Discord. As even though we were texting, I was like, Discord. I don't do the messages like that really on Discord or really any platform, because it's my way. It's my way of sticking it to the apps themselves. Like, I am not addicted to you. I can't quit you. So I turn off all notifications, and it's true. You are right on the sense that, like, we communicate with so many people. There was a threshold at some point where I was like, I'll keep notifications on. It's fun. And then I was like, oh, no, that's a problem. So I turned it off.
Yeah, that's not happening.
But
I don't even have the badge icons. I don't get the little red bubble on Twitter. In the corner.
Yeah, no, that's all turned off. Yeah, no silent. There's no silent delivery where I have to scroll up from notification center. It is off. It is zen.
Yeah.
It is strictly notifications come to me when I need to be reached, or say, for example, so and so's. Actually, that's not even true. I've turned that off too. I used to have notifications for people going live on YouTube. I turned that off.
Yeah.
I actually
don't have any YouTube notifications.
It's all off, and it's not because I'm I don't care what this person has to say. It's just that pecking order of priority. It's what can override what I'm doing right now that's more important. If it's a phone call or a text message, messages, like I'll do the whole watch thing, and okay, I'll get to that in a second. If it's a phone call, then I'll stop and do I need to address this now? Same thing with FaceTime calls, but really that's about it. But I would say that you and I might be the exception, and for most people, they do have notifications turned on. I know, for example, like Halami told me he has notifications for him to be pinged on Twitter and Discord, so he knows when I'm active, and that's when he's like, oh, there's this window where I can reach out to Randy, and so he uses it as a way to, like, if we're talking about video games or something, then that's where we can make that happen. So to that, if someone has a notification turned on Twitter about you and me, don't take our tweets. We don't say very serious things, I don't think, on Twitter often. Like,
no one says anything serious.
Like, don't take Twitter too seriously. I would push that further. Don't take social media platforms too seriously. We're just trying to
Elon.
We're just
listen.
Oh boy.
But is it? I think we've established it before, but to me, it's not about the price. Like, I wouldn't do Twitter Blue even if it was 99 cents a month versus $10 a month or whatever. Like, it's not about the cost. It's just the idea of paying for it. Like, even if it was a penny.
Says the guy who turned off his iCloud. I believe you.
Yeah.
It's
not about money.
It's about. Did you watch Dark Knight recently? Is that what's happening?
No,
here?
but I'm realizing it keeps coming up. Maybe I should.
You should.
I need to
watch
rewatch it. But
No,
I got rid of the display name across all of my active Twitters, at least, which I have 4 main ones that I stay logged into, and I think it looks so much more elegant to have that like darker handle, no display name. And I don't know if you noticed today.
I was fanboying so hard over you doing that. I was like,
I know, I was impressed.
It was so cool.
You kept going. I was like, oh, I can tell Randy enjoys this.
Very much. What happened today? What to notice today? Let me go on Twitter real quick.
Well, I realized, so YouTube, in all of their glory and wisdom, actually made a poor decision not recently, a couple of years ago, which I know is weird. The idea that YouTube would make a bad decision.
No.
But years ago,
Not
they
Alphabet.
used to. I forgot. Is Alphabet still a thing? Is that what the parent company is?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh. Weird. Okay. Well, you used to be able to. You could lock a Twitter account to a YouTube account back in the day.
Yes.
So that anytime you posted a video on YouTube, your Twitter account automatically tweeted it out.
Yes.
You didn't have to make a whole separate tweet. And I was like, oh boy, isn't that handy? That's cool. And YouTube was like, we're removing that because screw you.
I think Twitter axed it.
I remember it being on Google's end personally. I remember it
because
there was all
they axed Facebook, well at the time Facebook, but Meta as well. They said no more, because whenever I tweet something and I don't go on Facebook, the platform, my tweets would get pushed out there. So somebody would respond to my wall post or whatever they call it on Facebook, and they were like, I have no idea what you're talking about. What is this in context to? And I'm like, and then like, look at the thing from Twitter. From Twitter. And same thing with Instagram. I had everything interchanged from Instagram going to Twitter going to Facebook. Like, it was
you
a
may
thing.
be right.
And Twitter axed it.
I just didn't get the notification from Twitter. I remember getting it from Google, but this was back, I think, when Google Plus was a thing.
Ew, I just offended Google. Ugh.
I know. Quit that. But I just remember getting the email that they were like, there was a feature that would auto tweet. Now it's gone. Maybe it wasn't their fault necessarily, but that's who I read it from. But ever since then, it's taken more steps now whenever I post a video.
Yes.
And I followed the master of tech channels, Marquez. He has a template that he sticks to. Like, he used to, I think he still does it, but it's basically, new video in all caps. I changed mine up a little bit. I do new video, YouTube link, and then the title. And then the thumbnail of that video, so that the tweet takes up a full, you can see what the thumbnail looks like. And I realized that today, I was waiting for the video because it was taking longer to process than usual. It's kind of complicated to do on your phone, because when you're in Creator Studio and you hit the share button, and then it does title then link.
Yes.
And I don't like the way it looks when you do new video text and then a title. I think that looks. I like the way the link broke it up. Yes. But I was like, I want it to be easier to tweet out when a new video has been posted. So I removed the new video all caps text from today's videos tweets. So now it's just the photo, the title, and the link, because that's more clean looking. And I figured that the YouTube link is enough evidence that there is a new video. Yeah. And I also think that might make it easier to transition if in the future I end up posting my videos directly to Twitter and you're no longer leaving Twitter to watch the video. You just watch the video right there.
You still got the title.
You still got the title there. So I thought,
I just noticed
long term,
that is such a clean tweet. I'm not even gonna.
Now I'm obsessed with it. I'm like, actually, I don't want I didn't want the verification for a long time, but now I really don't want it, because it would mess up my whole handle. the handle being there at the darker text, the text of the tweet is brighter, your profile picture is there, the link is right beneath it. You don't need to say new video. That's kind of redundant now. So it's also much easier for me to post because I just
you're fixing redundancy.
you just copy the link.
So
you just hit the share button in Creator Studio, and then you add the photo, and then you're done. I still wish there was an option to link the accounts, though. I would still prefer it if it just auto-tweeted when you posted the video. But
no
it sounds
input
like
is
that's
a better
probably up to
input.
Twitter.
Or no input. Yeah, whatever that was.
The best process.
No process. Yeah, and then I have to go and troll your tweet about that. So my little snippet is I too had a template and I kind of threw it to I was like, this is stupid. I didn't like the amount of effort I was putting into it because I grew out of it, I guess. I used to have title. Yeah. Well, I used to like use an emoji to like grab your attention. Not even new, just emoji. Title, link. No. Title, space, a little blurb about the video.
Right.
Link with the little finger pointing down thing. I might use something for that, but I don't. If there's a way that because you got me thinking, if there's a way to unify as a creator that process to streamline it in a way that it doesn't matter what platform it's on, it has that continuity, then I would take that approach 10 out of 10. And You might be my trial, my guinea pig to see how if you get the subscription thing going. I'm kind of curious to see what comes of that because I'm not a pessimist about the death of YouTube or anything like that. I'm more of a how can you in a world where subscriptions don't matter anymore, subscribers, excuse me. How do you get new eyes on your material? For me, I more so for me, I don't have an answer because I don't know what Spotify and Apple Music is doing, but I am heard. If you saw the analytics, I am all over the world, and I don't know. At certain times, I get these explosions of random things,
right?
And I don't know why, and I can't. I just leave that alone because I don't know how to approach that. But what I can control, I think about if somebody's looking at this tweet for the very first time who doesn't know who I am. Am I conveying the right information that I would want it to be? And at the core of all of it, it's about now I'm going to do it. It's about sending a message. So
yes.
I believe that if Twitter is to be a competitor on the creation or as a creator to use that platform, how can I stream my content there the same way I tried to give IGTV a chance once upon a time? Woo! Remember that thing. But you called it out. You said it. You called an apple or a spade a spade. It was like, well, it's not going to work if you can't monetize. And I was like, there's other ways you can. Nope, you were right. Because most people won't leave that platform to go to YouTube then. Some people they don't care about YouTube. The problem
was they were all in on vertical.
Yeah. Yeah,
they just wanted portrait mode everything, which I think later changed their mind on, but it was too late. It was already dead by that point. Yeah. And I was always like, no, if you want to compete with YouTube, you need to basically just carbon copy, allow the same things, and have a clear path.
They already stole from Snapchat, just steal from Google. It's fine.
Yeah.
Don't act like you're a puppet.
Great artists steal. Yeah, I don't know why they felt like they need to reinvent it. I mean, TikTok is probably YouTube's greatest threat, but
it is.
TikTok's greatest threat is the U.S. federal government. But
can you access
it's also
the home
not
Wi-Fi? Yeah, I'm real threatened by these old geezers. Can TikTok access the home network?
It's like watching a cat with access to a shotgun. It's not really smart. It doesn't know what to do, but it has the power to inflict great damage. So I'm not saying the U.S. government has the right to ban TikTok. All I'm saying is I'm not gonna. The
government's the stupid kitten screwing around with a shotgun, and the shotgun.
Or like maybe not kitten. Kitten's not a good example. Maybe like a parrot.
I would
a
say
parrot.
kitten because I unfortunately I've been around enough cats to know that they do some stupid stuff when they're bored. A bored cat
They're like-
is a dangerous cat.
They're sticking their paw on the trigger. They're like, "What's that? What's that?" And you're on the other end of the barrel, going, "No."
Oh
That's your cat sound.
no! There you go.
All I'm saying,
Yeah.
I'm not saying TikTok deserves to be banned. I'm just saying I might sleep a little better if it is. That's all.
Listen, TikTok.
The monetization doesn't work with that platform as well. It's so much more complicated.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
trying to do short form vertical video that it consumes. It's kind of what's going on right now. I was just watching on YouTube a video from Cold Fusion that was really recently uploaded about the AI Chat GPT stuff and the DALL-E 2.
I watched that whole series that he did.
How old is that?
He did quite a few. There's
This one was recent.
How
The video I saw referenced the Truth GPT thing, which I thought
so there's a new one. I haven't seen it yet.
yeah. Okay.
Oh,
Well,
he's continued the thing since Bing announced the competition with AI. Cold Fusion had been following it like almost back to back at one point, and that's
Okay.
how I, it's no different than reading a headline. That's where I got all my information. Like, what's this about?
Yeah. Well, it's longer form video, right? So you get more into it. But he had this segment about artists feeling defeated because they said that the value of, like, at least the appearance of hand-drawn artwork or like watercolors or paintings has tanked substantially because of these bots. Like, think of all the people on Twitter now that have a profile picture that was just from that one app where you just take a picture and then it gives you all these different styles.
I rolled my eyes so hard at that.
Well, I mean, they're everywhere. And what it has done is it apparently for that industry, for the people that used to draw and do artwork for a living, their clientele has just basically dried up. Like, no one's going to pay for that anymore because there's been multiple, and he talks about that on his channel. He talks about how there's been multiple prestigious high-end art shows that have continuously been won by DALL-E 2 or Midjourney, whatever the bot service is. Yeah. They can just crank out a photorealistic image or make it look painted, and then they submit it, and then they win. And it took away this whole market. So now there's all these people that are like, I don't really know what my job is anymore. They got automated out, which sucks. And not in the same way exactly, but I felt similarly seeing the rise of success with TikTok. Like, I think there was 6 or maybe it was a year ago now. Every time I see a video I made a year ago, I'm like, oh my God, I thought I just made that last week. I don't know. I get that feeling a lot, but I remember I remember the headlines coming around that TikTok had surpassed YouTube in screen time. Yeah. And I was like, looking at how you're not searching for videos anymore. Thumbnails go away. Titles really go away. It's just algorithmic infinite scrolling, and how that complicates who do you pay, how much do you pay them. You need to get millions and millions of views in order to make like $100 compared to YouTube. We're already raking in some money from the EV podcast, and we haven't even posted anything since we got monetized. So thanks, by the way. But also, that's just an example of, like, longer form content is much easier to divert revenue towards, because this user is driving more screen time to them, and they put a thumbnail and they put a title that was interesting, so someone clicked it to watch more of it. I felt like, okay, there's a lot of the industry trying to move towards TikTok, but the monetization of it isn't scalable or sustainable. It's like the transition of artwork being taken over by all these bots and stuff is like, okay, it's crashing the value. So if YouTube in long form content, even long form as in 5 minutes, 10-minute videos.
That blows my mind to say that out loud.
That's long form now.
Old geezers
God.
would say, "Oh, like a 20-minute video, a video essay."
Right. Oh my God, 5 minutes. I don't have that kind of time.
Oh.
Sheesh.
As the content creator, you're like, I gotta at least get 8 minutes so I can put another ad break.
That's what it, well, I don't know what you've seen on your side of the country, but where I am at least, it feels like
It's been hell.
the younger
Yeah. Yeah.
the younger generations, at least to me, seem a lot more TikTok focused than YouTube
Yeah.
focused.
Yeah. No, it's true.
So I'm starting to feel the old geezer effect of the older generations that kind of grew up with YouTube like I did.
Yeah.
They will stick around, but the younger generations are like, this is boring. Why are all the videos in landscape? Why are all the videos so long? I just want it to show up here and scroll.
I need more jump cuts. I need
Exactly. So I feel like
timestamps. Ugh.
yeah.
You mean 7 different videos you could have made instead of timestamps?
Yeah, right. Right. So that's why I'm kind of pessimistic towards like shorts or
Drew,
TikTok and that type of thing.
Allow me though to provide clarity.
Okay.
From someone with wisdom, and I'm never wrong. You said it, not
That's
me.
true.
What has stood the test of time throughout every challenger that has come up against YouTube?
YouTube.
YouTube.
Right. I mean,
There you go. That's it. I'm not tricking you.
No, they were around. Were they? They weren't pre-Facebook, were they? Feels like the same time.
Same time. If we're talking from like launch date, I think Facebook might have been a year sooner, but more or less, it's the same time. It was all.
But Facebook was like college only. At first, right?
Yeah. So, it's that same generation. MySpace, Facebook.
It feels a lot more relevant than Facebook, even though it really isn't. I try to remind people that Facebook still has like 3 billion active users, but you feel like even the big channels, maybe I just look at Marquez as my template for everything, but he's like, Facebook? Who's using Facebook? And I'm like, right. Who uses Facebook? But everyone's on YouTube like, oh, wow, Mr. Beast. He feels really relevant. Big YouTuber. Oh, wow, they make YouTube videos. Who's like the biggest Facebook
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't even know Mr. Beast's first name.
It's Jimmy.
I was about to say, is it David? I don't know. Jimmy.
It's
David? Do you know how long it took me to get PewDiePie to realize that was Felix? I was like, who the heck is... We're talking about PewDiePie. Who's Felix? Like, it was...
I still watch PewDiePie. I feel like one of the few people that still watch PewDiePie.
Sapras.
He's going to be a father soon.
Oh, my God. Oh, brother. Oh.
You inspired him.
Stop it. Who is a big Facebook person? George Takei. Oh, my. It is. Oh, my.
That is such a great example of the epitome of Facebooker. Someone that doesn't actually make the videos. Yeah. He just schedules meetings and then has a supervisor that does everything for him.
Yeah. I would give...
Just...
Listen.
I feel like you're right though that YouTube has stood the test of time probably better than any other.
I have proof.
Site.
Yeah, sure. Platform, site, whatever metrics you want to use. Here's
Wikipedia.
Here's the proof.
$3
streams on music platforms count on YouTube count towards that Billboard top 100 for all that stuff that matters. That stuff counts. They don't give a flying about Facebook streams. They don't care about nothing else but what is the numbers that if it's on a social media platform, they only care about YouTube. That is not on accident. So if record labels and these music industries are still making money based off of the perception of relevancy on streams on YouTube, the next contender to that in a whole different space would be maybe followers or likes on Instagram. But that's a whole different space about how they're gauging the metrics. At the end of the day, if we're talking click-through rates, then maybe Instagram might have the lead. I still might give it to YouTube. I don't know. If we're talking about like tangible numbers that you could see, then the streams speak for themselves. You can, how many views does this music video have? And they count towards that. Like, unfortunately, the music industry is so methodical about this. It's not on accident you get a lyric video, a teaser, and then a music video, and then a live, because those are 4 different videos that can all count towards the streams that help boost those numbers. So in a way, they're manipulating the platform to help their business industry. But outside entities like the Billboard Top 100 or what have you, look towards that. People go platinum. No name people go platinum based off of, I mean, Justin Bieber started on YouTube. Billie Eilish, SoundCloud.
The concept of Vivo.
Yeah.
Do you know the origin of that? But there's still artist Vivo thing.
Yeah, all
the most viewed videos are songs too.
So that's true. For the longest time, allow me to age myself. For the longest
Baby
time,
Shark,
I was
the biggest.
I remember a time when Lady Gaga's Bad Romance was the most viewed video.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
Right under the Evolution of Dance. And that was the most viewed one at the time, was the Evolution of Dance.
Oh, yeah.
And,
I remember that.
Lady Gaga held it. And then Justin Bieber's Baby hit numbers for other reasons because the most disliked video. But nonetheless, Rebecca Black and
Now
Justin Bieber were no. Now we wouldn't know. But anyway, I guess what I'm getting at is that YouTube still very much holds relevance. We can rent or buy digital copies of movies on YouTube. I get it. I get those those recommendations to me all the time.
There's a lot of free movies on YouTube I've discovered too.
Yeah. And I'm like, I haven't seen this. I don't care if it's old. It's like, this is cool. I'll watch that.
Yeah.
I watched
Robots a week ago or so.
I watched.
I hadn't seen it in so long.
What's it called? Citizen 43 or something. The documentary of Edward Snowden. It was free.
Oh, okay.
Not the movie.
They also have Corpse Bride.
I have never seen that movie. I want to see that movie.
Oh, it's wonderful. It's beautiful.
I like that. Oh, I'm a Nightmare Before Christmas kind of.
Oh, then you'll love it. Yeah.
Yeah. I grew up on that stuff.
It's the exact same movie.
I saw there's a theory about it. Like, this might be Jack. This is Jack before he dies. Anyway, but you get what I'm saying. YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, to tie it back to Apple, when they stream their events, it's on their site, and I think YouTube, and then haven't they started streaming it to Twitter?
I will find out in 2 months.
But I think they stream it to Twitter, but I don't think they stream it to Facebook.
I don't think they stream it to Twitter. I think we're thinking of Tesla events that are streamed to Twitter.
Okay.
I
think you're wrong.
I hope I'm wrong because it's cool.
Okay. Yeah, no. I mean, Tim and Elon are on decent terms now after they had their little date.
Tim does have his blue check marks still, so you know he ponied up.
Yeah. Hey. And Apple's got their gold check mark.
Hey. Oh, so then
I see a lot of iPhone ads on my Twitter feed.
No,
and
they
have the
get
iPhone 10.
I get the same long MacBook Pro ad where you have to swipe the photo. It's like the longest battery or whatever. Like it's an ad.
Oh yeah,
I get that.
I did see that.
Speaking of Apple Card savings account. We have to talk about it.
Oh my God, I can't believe we got this far.
I looked at the thing like we're over an hour in, and I can't believe we didn't talk about this.
I think there was something else I wanted to mention. I'm trying to.
Okay.
Before we move on from YouTube,
I don't want to stop. I don't want to end this episode without at least addressing the new. I think this one's actually a big deal. So,
it is. I think my point was that the term subscriber is confusing.
Yes.
That tends to mean that you're paying for something on every other use case except YouTube, in which case subscribe just means follow. And I was going to suggest that YouTube, because they make so many genius decisions that no one gets mad about, they should change the subscribe button into follow so that all of the videos where people ask you to click the subscribe button are suddenly dated and all now wrong, except mine where I don't say that. I think.
Is that your ego? Is that you feel good? You feel good, Drew?
It feels great.
You're going to date our podcast now? Like, listen, I'm only going to ask this once. Go subscribe.
go hit the follow button. Yeah, that doesn't sound right anymore, does it?
See, YouTube is so old, and it stood the test of time. It was the first subscribe before there was subscribe. It was the first.
Pretty much. Well, I mean, before that, it was like you subscribed to magazines, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't.
Before that, it was a friend request. There wasn't even follows.
Yeah.
It was just friend requests. It was a mutual, we're both going to be linked now. Instead of I want to see you, you don't necessarily need to see me. And then...
Well, now it really doesn't mean anything, as we've established.
True. That's true. But YouTube should do something about the subscribe, though. If I could revamp YouTube, because, we're going to be co-CEOs again. If I could revamp it, I would make subscriptions completely controversial, maybe to people who did the hustle and bustle, us included, but I would drop the subscriber requirement for monetization.
I would too.
It does
Absolutely.
Not controversial.
I think if you got the watch time,
that's the only thing that matters.
Is all that should matter. Yeah. How many people are watching you? If you exceed, I don't care if you want to raise it. Maybe it's no longer 4,000 hours. Now it's 5,000 or 6,000.
Yeah.
Raise the requirement there, but the follower count, that has nothing to do with activity.
I would drop. Well, they say because it can show proof that you're not a troll account that just launched something viral. It's to prevent viral things from getting monetized. But I feel like
like you can abuse it.
YouTube has
either way.
refined their way of demonetizing pretty quickly. Anyway, look at controversial people who aren't monetized on YouTube anymore. There's a sea of them, and it has nothing to do with.
I just want YouTube to feel threatened by Twitter. That's all. I don't need them to die. I'm not wishing. I feel like they've been a monopoly for so long, and if they had something more threatening to them, and all TikTok has really done is made shorts popular. Like now YouTube has this whole short side of the business.
Vine was the precursor
which is
to
a
that.
Twitter creation. Yeah.
So, I mean, really, I hear you. I agree with you. My approach to it, I guess, really going full circle with this at the beginning. God, we talked about it that long. I would still diversify. I would upload my strategy. What I would like to do, but I can't do on Twitter. I would upload to everything equally. I have done this, and I've actually done exclusives too. For people who pay attention, which I expect no one to pay attention, I recorded a vertical version of a backdrop of me on the water when I was showcasing a song, but on YouTube, I recorded a separate video of it being landscape. So I didn't want to crop out or compromise resolution or pixelation.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
I know, but I'm better than you, so that's.
I know.
I care about the quality of my material, Drew. So I filmed.
You gotta quit that.
Two separate. You're not wrong because I have nothing to show for it. But nonetheless, I recorded a sunset twice on the water at two different times, but the music was still the same. I put one exclusively on Instagram, which I think went to. I don't know where. I don't know if that one went to Twitter or not. I don't really care. And then another exclusive one strictly for YouTube. What I would do, to the best of my ability, is just unify. This all goes back to the minimalistic arc that we're going through. I would unify everything where if I can have a dedicated. This is what we wanted the Tailosive app to be at one point. A one-stop hub that meets all the requirements to be check, verified, or not verified, monetized, and and it can just go where it needs to go. And then you're done. So I had a honest conversation with somebody in my Discord this week about me saying that my server's not dead. It serves the purpose for the people that use Discord over Twitter. And Twitter serves the purpose for people who use that over Instagram, and vice versa. Instagram who use it over Discord. I have multiple social media accounts, not because I like being on these stupid things. I hate them. I do it because I try to get the information out there, because I got family members who just don't care for Twitter, but they care about Discord, surprisingly.
Sure.
Fine. They want to know what's going on in my life.
Accessibility.
Boom.
Well, I think if we had more platforms more closely competing with each other, and I feel like nothing really competes with YouTube, there's just YouTube alternatives.
Yeah.
Like you can't post the same you can't post the same stuff on TikTok. You have to change the fundamental form of it. Like you said, you record it separately. But if there was another site that supported the longer form landscape video like we're doing right now, like Twitter is talking about doing, then it becomes a battle like Elon was talking with Mr. Beast about it. And I like seeing that battle. He was like, YouTube takes 45% of the ad revenue. And Elon's like, we could beat that with Twitter. We could just take it'd be funny if they took 30% because Elon is mad at Apple for taking 30%. Oh, that's way too much. That sounds like a total Elon move too. That's outrageous. How much is Twitter going to take? Oh, just 30.
We'll take 29% and give you 69%. That's an Elon thing. Or 21%.
31, I think.
31. Yeah, whatever. Math. I'm a math major.
You're right. You're right. That's a total Elon move, is to let the content creators keep. They get 69%. So, in that scenario, assuming Twitter, which I'm suggesting right now, for the record, completely carbon cut copy the YouTube uploader feature. Just straight rip it off. Don't even hide it. Just
do what
leave
Instagram
the YouTube logo there. Put it. Do what must be done, Lord Musk.
Show no mercy.
Put the YouTube symbol, cross it out, and put the tweet or the Doge, I don't care what it is, and let me just, okay, I finished a video. I want to share it with the world. Which platform do I show it to first? One or the other. Which one am I going to be prioritized one? The one that gives me 69% of the ad revenue or 55? That's the good competition. So people start posting videos to Twitter first, because Twitter's all about the news, catching the latest, right? It's where people break information. It's where there's all kinds of relationships between brands and their customers, or content creators and their viewers. So if you have that better ad revenue, people are going to feel more motivated. I want to post there first, and then I'll post to YouTube for the long-term accessibility. But if people start finding out, oh, wait, I could have watched this video faster or sooner or with less ads or something, if I watched it on Twitter, that moves more people. And then YouTube goes, wait a minute, we can offer 70% of that. That's real competition. That's the good competition you want.
Let me add on to that too.
Mm-hmm.
YouTube is criticized for favoring authoritative news sites like CNN and alike over independent media, where Elon would definitely slap CNN and
the opposite,
Fox, all those guys, and reward independent media. And
probably
YouTube could become so corporatized that, because people would pull their content to go to to Twitter, that YouTube would be like, whoa. Because even though they might be getting corporate money or whatever their arrangement is about getting on trending or what have not,
they don't want to lose relevance.
What difference would that make if you lose eyeballs? I mean, it's nothing. So
I remember what I was going to ask you.
Go ahead.
It came up on Cold Fusion, but the whole Bing AI thing, this ties into the topic we were on, I promise.
I believe you.
You know, the ChatGPT associated with Bing, and Samsung announced that they were changing their search feature to go to Bing by default, not Google. Had caused the Google stock to drop, and it caused Google search traffic to drop. Tying that back into this, do you think that with the rise of these machine learning bots like GPT and incorporating them more into their own separate browsers and moving away from Google search, like, do you think Google's bread and butter is now going to be threatened? Because that's the thought process I had, is like, most of my income is from Google.
I'll be honest with you. Yes.
What if
I see where you're going.
you think they're threatened?
Big picture here. If your bread and butter is from Google, and Google can only pay out because of the ads from search, but there's less search, thus less ads, thus less payout, they are threatened. That's why they responded so aggressively as they did to Microsoft.
What's it called? BART?
Exactly
Barf.
my point. We don't even know what it's called because nobody cares.
Google Barf?
They already lost the name. Well, it used to be Google it.
Bard.
With
a D.
You said barf.
I like Google Barf. That sounds better to me.
That describes my relationship with Google.
I mean, I want Google to feel threatened, but at the same time, this is my livelihood, so I'm a little concerned.
You are a little biased, yes. But that's why we also have the podcast audio monetization. We diversified
That's
that.
true.
So
I'm trying to warn everybody, we might just go all in on Spreaker in the future.
all I'm saying is that I like diversifying content without
Yes.
diversifying the let me rephrase that. I like diversifying media without diversifying the content. So if we could take this right here, what we're doing, and it goes to YouTube, Twitter, Spreaker, whatever.
You want the same egg in multiple baskets.
Talk about now that is an AI. Let me see Chat or Dolly 2 draw me one of those. Same egg, multiple baskets. That's what I want. Oh, man.
So Apple Card.
Apple Card. Wait. Hang on. Let me close my thought about feeling threatened on Google. Google it's inevitable that something more
You're getting leapfrogged.
something more relevant catches people's eyes. Their infrastructure, as impressive as it is, they're the CEO of Microsoft, I forget his name. It's not
Sundai.
Sundai. Yeah, it's not the other Bill. Developers.
No, he left like 800 years ago.
Yes, he did. Thank God. But
Satya Nadella.
okay,
I know his face.
I know his face.
Can't pronounce his name.
There you go.
Sundar is Google. Sorry.
All right. I mean, listen. I know everyone comes from the same origin of the earth, but there are differences.
Except Elon.
Except Elon. He's from Africa. These other guys are from India, but he's from Africa. It's different. Okay.
Do they know?
Microsoft said it best, or the CEO said it best, where he said,
Do they know that Twitter exists at all? That's a good song. It's catchy, but it's horrible.
That sounds like me. I can be.
There's no mic filter on this episode.
Thank God. Oh man, I was like trying to watch what I have to say. So, Microsoft said that they just need to take a little portion of the search, and they'll be substantially way more profitable. Whereas, like Google, they have to maintain that position, and it's hard to maintain the position. It's hard to be number one forever unless you're Apple. But
they're the empire.
Now
Google's the empire.
Now for my final order.
Execute order. Google boff.
Rise. Yeah, Google is threatened because they can't. It's not that they can't afford to lose the market share that they have, but they don't want to. They shouldn't, because then they don't grow.
That's all they have.
That's all they have. Whereas Microsoft has software, now hardware, now services, but on the enterprise level, they tried the phone thing, didn't really work out. But all the same, like Microsoft is established enough. They have what we call in the investment field a wide enough moat. They are good enough, and so does Apple. I think Apple has the strongest moat. Apple's moat has flames and things shooting out, and flying alligators that jump in and out of the lava water. Like that's some stuff that you would have had AI generated stuff poop out.
Apple basically dominates the hardware business in terms of profitable hardware. I know they're not majority market share, but they have the best margins. Like if you're talking more expensive hardware, they own that market. It's like 80% Apple if you're talking the premium smartphone space or the watch space or the headphones.
Tablet.
AirPods.
Best tablet ever is an iPad. Regardless of the software.
It says a lot about tablets. My mind is still blown just from earlier realizing that the watch is like the oldest piece of tech that we're still using.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, every other category.
When the commandments were written on the tablet, they had a watch. The first tablet ever utilized in biblical scripture.
The
also
Ten
had a watch.
Commandments had better functionality
You know what?
than
I'm
the
not
iPad.
that. I'm not that. I'm not that off though with the watch thing because they had sundials, and sundials is a different form of a watch. It's not very
Yeah,
portable.
they had a sundial on their wrist. They would hold it up. Oh.
Yeah, that works. Dang, the watches.
Yeah.
The watch has been
Watches
around.
are old.
Yeah. So okay, let's talk about the Apple Savings account.
Good segue.
Yep.
Right.
I really hope our timestamps work for this one.
I'm so sorry, Riley. We're all over the place. There must be so many points where you're like, new subject. Actually, never mind. Delete.
We're just keeping
Go
you on your
back.
toes. We're keeping you engaged.
Oh, poor Riley.
Riley has to be
You
watching
really
this
don't
at like
have to do
2x speed, you know?
Yeah, he's going back and he's rewinding. Oh.
So when I'm talking really fast like this, like I'm Ben Shapiro, and then all of a sudden, well, yeah. And then put that over 2x speed. Okay.
The last EV podcast was so long that it went over the Spreaker file size limit, so I had to speed it up a little bit. That's why, in case anyone's wondering, the audio version of the podcast was 2.5 hours, whereas the video version was like almost 3 hours. Because I speeded up by around 12% to fit it under the 300 megabyte file limit that Spreaker puts. So we sound a little bit faster on the audio version.
I actually thought you just cut content. I was like, I probably said something stupid that needs to be cut.
You think I edit these?
Wouldn't be the first time.
These are really 4 hours unedited, but yeah, I
But I just
cut
can't.
out all the controversial.
But I just can't stop running my mouth. The thing is, like, my jokes, they're so inside jokes. My goal is to break Drew first. If I can crack Drew, everything else is just icing on the cake. I don't really care. So that's the name of the game. That's the game I played with myself since we started the podcast. Like, I'm gonna make these guys laugh. If I don't, I had a bad episode.
It worked. Yeah, it worked. It was effective.
Okay, so savings account.
You're the only one here. Everyone else
I'm monologuing.
couldn't make it.
What do you think? I'm surprised you didn't drop a video on the account yet.
I was close to, but I had gone basically like a week and a half without doing a public live stream, so I felt like I should have done one. But it also almost made more sense to put on the Life channel, not the Tech channel, because it's not much of a tech topic. It's more of a finance topic. But to me, this is much more enjoyable and much more beneficial than the Apple Pay Later thing. This is like the inverse. I was mad about Apple Pay Later, and I don't like what it encourages and supports. This is the opposite. I like what it encourages. I like what it supports. It is motivating people to... It is associating savings with the Apple sheep mentality of like, I like the Apple Card because it's just built into the Wallet app. And now there's just a little savings account tab right beneath the credit card, and it gives you this cool visual over time that grows. And just like I was hoping for when it first got announced, there are routing numbers, there are account numbers. So I've plugged in my Patreon to this, I've plugged in my PayPal, I've plugged in my Venmo, and I'm not happy with my current bank anyway, so
I'm only doing this
I'm
because
loving it.
you showed yours, and I saw you do a number equation. But anyway, I'm starting with 10.
Whoa, dang. You went straight.
I actually,
Congratulations.
I have a theory. Thank you. I guess I have a theory. Not a theory. I have a hypothesis I'm testing.
This just in. Randy's loaded.
Well, anyway. So, anyway, you said something that I'm actually, my headspace was there, is that like, if I had a minimum of 10 G's in there, the interest alone could cover one of my subscriptions if I allotted it to be.
A lot, yeah. Apple One Premiere would be covered.
I don't know if I was
but
talking in your
10K.
live stream, but I did watch that live stream. I don't remember if I made myself like, but
I think you were. Yeah.
probably. I try to catch them when I can. They're a good break from dad life. But anyway, I wanted to see. I want to see what those numbers look like on a 4% yield because I have. Okay, I'm not trying to be too like. I don't mind showing that number, just because it is what it is. But I don't want to.
Randy's a millionaire.
I don't want to be
say
too.
it. We know. We.
If I call Dave Ramsey, he'll challenge some of my stuff, and he'll be like, "No, are you kidding me? I can't get his southern
You're
drawl.
stupid.
You're stupid. Your thing sucks.
Rice and beans.
You suck. Rice and
You don't need to
beans.
see the inside of a restaurant unless you live in it.
You have
I work in it. Sorry.
It's absolutely stupid. Take your credit cards. Take them out back.
Yeah, it's got.
I mean, are you kidding me? What
I
kind
like
of
something with an engine. What are you, nuts? This is the Dave Ramsey position. This is the Dave Ramsey show. Better than I deserve. What's up?
so
How's
good.
iOS 16 running on your
So
phone?
good.
Better than I deserve.
It's so good. Oh my god. Anyway. Oh, touche.
Dave Ramsey meets Tim Cook. That'd be a good morning. You're stupid.
You're stupid. Good morning. You're stupid. I'm trying to invert what they would say in their own accents. Anyway, okay. Whew, that was funny. I have certain index funds that are dividends paying first,
Yes,
like monthly,
same.
and they're about 4%. So I did not pull from my index funds to then dump them in there because value on the dollar will always depreciate, whereas being invested in the market or real estate, that's an appreciating asset. So
Yes.
I didn't cash out anything. I'm
Me
one of
neither.
my one of my index funds that I have. I'm doing a side by side comparison because I have about 10,000 in that one, and I just kind of want to see what changes because inevitably what will happen as the feds do the. You're right. This is definitely more, I guess, life talk, but I will bring it back to Apple. I promise. As
Apple brought it to us. That's
Yeah.
the thing.
I'm sorry for our international friends that can't appreciate these juicy numbers, but at the same time, we're kind of in a recession right now, so our dollar
More
doesn't
reason
really.
to. You got to move to America because we have no problems here.
Yeah, our dollar isn't getting pinched, but as the Fed keeps increasing interest rates by a couple points, which we will have another one this year, and then we'll assess after that time. Inevitably, what will happen as we try to stabilize inflation and stabilize, just cash flow as a whole, the rate will drop. It won't stay at 4 or whatever forever. The last time we got this close, that was good times rolling, was 2018-19, pre-pandemic, and we saw interest rates jump up to 2%. and at the time, and you talked about this too, one of the reasons why I was so heavily, I primaried Simple as my primary bank was because they were one of the first banks to offer a 2% high yield savings that didn't have the 6 withdrawal limit, so I could treat it as a checking. But what it would really be is just it would pay my credit cards off, and as long as I stayed under 6 transactions, that'd be good. But they did away with the.
I loved Simple from what I saw.
It
looked really great.
so clean. It's such a beautiful, elegant website. If I had the resources to do it, I would, because that IP is basically gone. I would bring back that bank and find like a new owner to or host my own Goldman Sachs to work off of. It was such a
Well, that's what scares me about those online banks is being so
rightfully
small.
so. Yeah, no. I learned many things from Simple and from Robinhood. Don't trust anything that's not like at least a decade old. The older it is, the more I would trust it. So, I moved.
I feel less worried about putting more and more with Apple though, because I know there's almost a zero, as close as you can get to 0% chance of that company going bankrupt.
But even if it did,
considering
we
the
are
size.
insured to $250,000.
Yeah, it's insured.
So we're fine.
That too. But I just mean the formatting of it. I'm not worried so much about the money itself, but more just like the account having to transfer funds, go to a different, Simple's gone, now I got to move to something else, put the money somewhere else. I'm not worried about that happening with Apple because they're huge. They're basically one of the biggest companies on the world. I like the middleman approach. This is one of those fields where I don't want to work directly with Goldman Sachs because they're a big bank, and big banks all suck, especially when it comes to software development, account management,
and
take your
interest
password,
rates.
blah blah blah.
Chase,
Yeah,
Wells Fargo's, Bank of B of A, they none of
They all
Citi,
suck.
U.S. Bank, they don't have good high yield savings. My credit
Right.
union, I use Navy Federal as my primary bank. My credit union, at best, has maybe 0.5%. At best,
Mm-hmm.
I have a money market account which has a higher yield, but it's not percentage. It's like still like 0.75 or maybe 0.8, something like that. It fluctuates as the interest rates also increase. But to my point, it
Right.
ain't no 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not a whole percent on anything. And
Right.
one thing that I miss about Simple or those smaller banks is like, hey, let me pass the savings on to you for market share, because that's why the big banks don't do it. They don't need your. They're doing fine on the investment side. They don't need you with that little dollar anyway. And personally, I wouldn't recommend having that much cash. Don't. This is financial advice. Don't have that much money. What I just did. Don't
have money.
Don't have that much money just put to the side unless you're saving up for something.
I recommend emergency funds. That's essentially what our savings account is.
Absolutely.
It's an emergency fund.
Max out, like, okay, quick financial literacy here. Max out an IRA if you have one, a 401k with an employer, especially if they match it. Do the matching and then roll
Agreed.
everything over to your max out your IRA. Once you're done with those two, have your emergency fund. Well, actually, I'd say have your emergency fund first, but make sure you have that 3 to 6 month. I'm weird. I like to do a year because I have more mouths to feed, so I plan out for a
Sure.
year.
That's fair.
With all those elements there, everything else, then index funds, and then if you have some play money, do individual stocks. Go play with Apple, Tesla, whatever, Microsoft.
More likely to grow over the long haul. You'll probably get better than 4%
Yeah.
return out of an index fund or a high dividend fund or even individual. But
Those things will
yeah,
fluctuate.
that's
Yeah.
those can go down. That's the difference between a savings account is that it won't go down.
Right.
It
So
can only go up
I
unless you
like-
take stuff out.
That's true. So I'm trying out. I just did a clean number and I just transferred 10 because I was like, for me, that's an average. I'm comfortable just kind of do it side by side. There was no real risk involved there. And it just equates to one of my index funds with a high dividend yield. I'm betting that my index fund is still going to do better, even though the interest rate
Probably.
is technically lower, because
Yeah.
it will also adjust with the principal. The principal adjusts, whereas like my base principal is the interest rolls into that. What I like,
Because
what
you
Apple,
own shares. It's
You
not
own
just
shares.
cash.
right?
Right.
What I like what Apple did though is they took the simple bank approach and their savings account, which there is a difference. The money compounds daily, pays out monthly. Fine print on most banks that do something like that, compounds monthly, pays out monthly. And 30 days of compounding as opposed to just one day, take the total, compound it on there, is a drastically different outcome of what your payout would look like for a percentage that high. It is not an accident that this percentage is so high for Apple to do that, because they basically are not really pocketing the difference, maybe a small fraction of the percentage. I know Goldman Sachs will be pocketing a small fraction of the percentage there, but they are betting that people will put more money in it because to help adjust with
They're
inflation.
betting that we'll do what we're doing now. They want that. I think they launch it with such a high interest because it motivates people like you and me to say, let's move as much as you can in there right now. So that's what they were hoping for, like a bank rush in a good way.
The opposite of Silicon Valley Bank.
What's yeah. Do you think they delayed the launch because of that?
I never thought about that. No.
I was like, they announced it before the Silicon Valley Bank thing happened.
They announced it long ago.
Yeah, it was a while back when they said they were going to offer it. And I was like, I bet it was close to ready. And then that whole thing happened, and they were like, let's wait a little bit.
I don't have tinfoil, but here's my tinfoil hat.
Is that the Apple polishing cloth?
Man, would you?
Oh my
no, I bought this at Walmart, $2.
Well, with all your high interest, maybe you can afford the polishing
Now I
cloth.
can, yeah.
You can do Apple Pay later, finance it over 12 months, stretch out those payments.
You said in your live stream, before I tell you about my theory about why they waited to launch, let me say something that you had talked about in your stream, I think yesterday.
Okay.
You said that the thing with Dave Ramsey was he's like, these millionaire, billionaire, whatever, they didn't get there by like trying to, boy, I can cash out my credit cards here. I can get 4%
honor
here
the FICO gods.
Yes, they weren't
Yeah.
trying to game it for these quick rushes and effectively do what you and I are kind of doing with the savings account. That's not how they got rich.
Yeah.
Be that as it may, when you do
Doesn't hurt.
yeah, when you achieve a status to where you feel comfortable in life, that you have
Uh-huh.
that type of cash flow, whatever's comfortable for you. It putting it there, like, don't be stupid, put it in there. You know, like if that means having an Apple credit card, then okay. The genius of what Apple did was they're making you apply for the credit card, so it helps their numbers
To
And
get the savings account.
to get the savings account. And
That's the only way to get it. Yeah.
here's my conspiracy. This was I think they waited so long because of the bad numbers with Goldman Sachs and Apple. They're like, oh man, I think we got a losing deal here. Whatever they're working on the back end here has to be a 1-for-1 correlation about the credit card and ultimately getting more money in the pockets of Goldman Sachs, and then because it's not just their credit card technically by funding, but it's also now their account by funding.
Mm-hmm.
And we have the middleman of Apple, but Ally Bank is the middleman. Simple Bank was the middleman. Like, middleman is pretty actually common with these newer. Actually, every account, every online account, it has a middleman. Wealthfront, I think, has because I think they have an account. These older bank accounts, these institutions now on Wall Street, those are the guys that that's their own pocket of money. But everyone else, think about how we talk about T-Mobile has the tower, but Mint rents out a portion of it. Same concept there. So,
And now T-Mobile owns Mint.
and
Or will.
so if anybody was in trouble, either Apple buys out Goldman Sachs, which I don't see happening, or Goldman Sachs buy Apple, which I don't see that happening.
Well, I was going to say that kind of ties into my next question for you is with the case of Apple Pay Later, which I don't like, but one difference with Apple Pay Later is Apple is the one holding the loan, not Goldman. So do you think that's their experiment with one day making the transition, just how we you could have Intel to Apple Silicon? We
Apple
are transitioning
has been living a double
the
life.
Apple Card. We're switching from Goldman Sachs to Apple banking, Apple Finance. Like, they hold the money now, not Goldman, or they handle the back end and the front end eventually. But for the sake of liability and risk avoidance, they're letting Goldman front the bill right now. I don't know what kind of long-term contracts they're in, but first of all, my first visualization with interest rates that high, aren't they? Do you think they're losing money on this?
No.
Feels like they have to be.
No, because
how are they
bank-
not losing money?
The banks have a higher the interest rate themselves to actually have the money is higher than 4. I think if you go like on NerdWallet or something, I think there's one that's even trying to beat those and have something like in the 5 or 6 percentile.
I've seen some
sure.
banks go to close to 5 or over 5, but they usually have much more strict requirements. Like, you have to put in a certain amount per month, or
yes, and that's not on
it
accident
has to
either.
be over a certain amount.
That's because they will still ultimately what the bank does is they'll take your money and they'll lend it out. Any bank that holds your cash as a cash reserve,
right,
is being.
But Apple doesn't have that requirement, right?
They don't have that
They're
requirement.
saying no minimums, no required withdrawals or deposits.
So they're definitely
just
not losing money. 4.25, 4.7% VO Bank. Oh, I remember these guys. Yep. So all these that are staying under 5%, I would not be surprised if the number is actually closer to 5 or 6% with the actual cost of what money is to like lend and borrow. What we're getting is a fraction of what they're handing out. So what I mean by that is I'm looking at Citizens Bank. They have 4.25, whereas Apple has 4.15.
Yeah.
If the actual cost of lending, what it is that, okay, here is my $10,000. I now expect at year's end I get either $425 if there was no compounding. We're just doing clean numbers here, or roughly around $400. That's my expectation. They turn around, lend my $10,000 out, even though everyone's still insured, everything's supposed to be good, and we're gonna pretend Silicon Valley Bank didn't happen. My money has been lent out. They're lending that money out at a higher interest rate, 4.3, 4.5, because at the end of the day, wherever that because when the Fed increases the interest rate, that's how expensive it is to borrow money. It's the same thing as here's a very cleaner example. We get 4.15 right now from Apple. How much is a mortgage loan right now? What's the interest rate on that?
I assume 6.
You might be
5,
right.
somewhere in there. I think I haven't looked recently, but
to my point, it's higher. It's higher than what we would get kickback.
Yes.
Same thing. How much is an auto loan? It's higher. I know because we did one for the Y. Well, we did
Yeah.
But still, the days of 2%. Funny enough, when mortgage rates were really low, and hey, you should refi. No savings account was even maybe offering 8%. It was like 0.3 or 0.5. There is a balancing act that's happening off of how much it costs to loan you money and how much I'm going to pay you for you to give me your money. It's a trade-off, and it's all based off of what the Fed is charging for the cost of circulating our currency around. So that's why. No, I don't think they're taking a loss on it, because they do and will get their money back in other mediums, because interest rates are higher, not just for us in the savings, but it is to borrow the money. It's
so
all
the value to them is to be the ones with the big pot. It's in their motivation for all of us to put as much as of our own cash in their pot so that they can loan it out, and that's helping Goldman Sachs probably more than the credit card is.
100%. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. It's because the Bloomberg report was they were losing like over $1 billion on
that. Might have been true before the
rewards
savings account launched, because I don't think Goldman Sachs had a savings account like this that was this type of deal or offering.
I don't think the interest was that high. Yeah, I heard other people with Goldman Sachs bank accounts said that they had like 3.9 or 4, but yeah, not 4 point. To me, the little point, that's all.
26.74% is the APR on my Apple Card. If I had a rolling balance, a quarter of my balance would just go into the pocket of Goldman Sachs at the end of the day, or Apple, whatever their arrangement is for that cut. That is extremely. No savings account is offering me 26.74%. And now I think I'm locked in at this interest rate. I don't really care because I won't carry balance. But to my point, they will get their money back in other means. But we did them no harm by giving them thousands of dollars this week. Millions. They probably got millions this week, So,
well, I guess what I'm more excited for, even more so now that they actually gave the accounting and routing numbers like I was hoping they would, is that basically all Apple has to do now is a checking account, which is practically, that would be tied directly to the cash card, right?
It should be. Well, okay. Yeah.
Because that's a Visa.
It is.
That's a debit.
But a cash card is not the same. Is not the same as like a debit card. It can be,
but it could be, right?
It can.
Yeah, it could act as one because it's not a credit line. This one, the old one. This predates the Apple Card.
It does.
But
that at the end of the day, that is a prepaid. That's a prepaid card.
Yeah.
So a cash card doesn't.
I just feel like it could easily convert into one if needed.
I think what they'll do, maybe, but if from a legal sense they can't do it, they'll do the same seamless transition the way they made you do daily cash to the savings account. They're like, hey, from now on, do you want to route to this thing? And that card may very well become obsolete. They might do a back end retransition.
Apple debit.
Yeah, they'll do something where you get you have to regardless you have to have a new card number with a security code and an expiration date.
Yeah.
That definitively would need to happen to have a debit card, because a debit card is financially different from a prepaid card. I would say they could find a way to, like, maybe UI, nothing changes, but if I was Apple, I would actually want it to change. I would want the debit card to be separate from a cash card, and I would want the cash card to be the, hey, Let me Apple Pay you. Give me your phone. Boop. Let that have some whatever going on. We're getting our Apple Bank, man. I'm so excited.
I know. I'm excited too. I feel like this was a big step in the right direction.
This is one of the checks I said. I would offer a high yield savings account. That's the most important thing to get market share. And they heard us. They heard me. I've been preaching this.
They are listening to the show. I'm pretty sure. That's
Please
the only
fix iPad OS.
How much money do I need to put in my savings account to get optimized battery charging?
How much more do you need? Yeah.
They take debit and they move the I and create iDebt from Apple. But this is more excitement from hatred of the current banks. I don't like the existing banks. I don't like the banks I'm with. So to move more away from them and let Apple take control, because they get software, they get user friendliness, they have a much cleaner UI than what the banks can come up with. Account management's a lot more simple, feels a lot more trustworthy when it comes to fraud protection / I think Mike was even mentioning it last time we had him on. He qualified for disaster relief.
Yeah, he did.
All those years ago. Yeah, it was like
Mike. Because there's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
Right. Yeah. No, I feel like a checking account with routing and accounting numbers would be it. Now they're a full bank.
So
that's the last step.
How can we, outside of the app, gain access to this account?
I haven't tried accessing it from the web. I know there's an Apple Card website, but it's not very complete. I'm not sure if it shows up on. Now I'm curious. I need to look.
Because if
card.apple.
If you could link, say like on Mint or something equivalent, that account.
I'm annoyed with Mint.
Same. I actually completely unrelated. I went to Fidelity as my budget tracker because they offer the exact same thing that Mint does. And actually, that's where my headspace was actually kind of going, was like, how can I link this account to show my actual portfolio balance of, like assets versus liabilities and stuff like that?
No, it's the savings account's not on the web. The website is so incredibly
bare,
void of all information. All it says is a card balance. There's
it
no
might have
transactions.
The legal bare minimum on purpose.
You're probably right. I think it is a legal thing. They were like, basically, it's there as a backup in case you switch to Android and you can't access the wallet app, or probably more commonly than switching to Android, because that never happened, is people lose their phone from something and they need to pay it off if the payment was due. So you can sign in on the web and pay it, but that's really all it does. There's a scheduled payment section and a card balance, nothing else. There's no savings account info, but they could easily add it if need be. But I think this is kind of the point. I think Apple wants you to be more tied to the wallet app so that you feel less likely to switch away from iPhone.
Do you think Apple would serve a wider... Apple Music is on Android now. If they had a wallet app for Android, not as clean or fluid as ours, do you think that would serve them better, or would they want to take the route of iMessage and be like, well, our customers aren't really asking about other forms of media besides iMessage?
That's a good question. Yeah, because there's certain things they don't bring over. Like they didn't bring over the Apple TV app, did they?
They did.
Well, they brought that to Samsung TVs and Rokus and stuff, but
which means it's on the Play Store.
Android.
Yeah,
it is.
I'm sure of it.
I thought okay
because I have a Sony, right? TV, like smart TV, and
my Roku had the Apple TV app too.
And my Sony,
I thought it hadn't launched on the Play Store.
I got the Apple TV through the Play Store, and because they use Android, so that experience, that Android OS, single-handedly made me go buy an Apple TV 4K because it was so buggy. It was so bad.
Okay, you're right. I need to stop questioning you.
I know. One day you'll learn.
It's 1.3 stars out of 5 though on Google Play.
Those are those. Nah,
Ted Lasso sucked.
There's some bias going on there.
They also have a Beats. I want to see all the Android apps Apple has. They have Apple Music, Apple TV, Beats, Tracker Detect, Move to iOS. That's my favorite. They have 2 Apple TV apps.
Oh, I know this.
1.6. One has 1.3 stars. They're all terrible. None of them are above 4 stars.
There is a difference between the Apple TV and Apple TV Plus.
Well, it's not labeled. It doesn't say TV Plus.
Well, there's Apple TV, the platform.
Yeah.
And then there's Apple TV as in the software iteration of signing into your iCloud account. Okay. And one will bring over your purchases, like your iTunes purchases. The other one is strictly the media player for Apple TV Plus. So you could have pre Apple Music if you had a library that you're curating that's under your iCloud account, your Apple account, Apple ID. There it is, under your Apple ID. You can access it through iTunes. It's very confusing because a lot of the reworking and names changed after iTunes because initially you had to go through everything through the iTunes, and then the iTunes app was rebranded as Apple TV. But that's not the same as the Apple TV, say the Apple TV platform itself. One is trying to emulate the box. One is emulating the service. The other is emulating because there's technically 3. There's Apple TV, Apple TV Plus, and then Apple TV. It's very confusing.
Yes, it is.
The goal is to get the biggest, widest net one first of Apple TV, which includes Apple TV Plus and iTunes subscriptions and purchases and this and everything that's under the Apple ID. That's one of those things I would rename, but I don't discredit I get the 1-star rating thing. Yes, it's confusing. Yeah.
How about this? This is my middle ground answer. I think maybe in Europe they may be forced to bring the wallet app with Apple Card /savings / eventually checking on Android, but in the US they won't be required. So they might not do it here.
They have that much pull. The EU is like, well, you think we're stopping at USB-C? Nah, fam, that's cap. We want
the EU just wants everyone to have a different logo on the exact same hardware and the exact same software, and there's no differences other than the logo. And you just choose which logo you like. And then even then they'll start probably complaining that the Apple they have a monopoly on the Apple logo. What if I want to buy a phone with an Apple logo from Google? See?
Does TikTok access the home Wi-Fi? That's what this is starting to sound like.
Yeah, different government, but same problem.
Now, that's
but
true.
I'm very excited for the future. This is the most fun thing Apple. I like Apple services that make me money that instead of cost me money.
Yeah. Agreed.
And it's very elegantly added in there. Like you wouldn't see it if you just open the app. You wouldn't notice. You open the card. And then there's a little savings account tab. Very subtle. You open it up, and it shows you exactly how much is in there.
That's not too far off from your prediction. You said, I remember, because I think you and I said maybe have a separate app. And you're like, no, they could put it in the wallet app. And when we're pitching this bank idea, like they could put it in the wallet app. And maybe, but
here's what my wife is predicting that I'd like to get your prediction on the record since you're never wrong. Do you think they can maintain this interest rate?
That answer depends on how long you're asking.
If you go back and play back that question, you'll find.
Oh my goodness, he owns you.
Let's say like 2 years from now. Do you think the interest rate will be the same?
No. No interest rate ever stays the same like that. The only interest rates that stay the same like that is those from Wells Fargo, Chase, Bank of America.
The joke ones.
The joke ones,
like insulting.
On purpose. Even CDs change their interest rates frequently. It can't maintain that. Now, I can't tell you if that means it's going to go up or down. I think it'll do both because it is solely determined. It could. I do think it'll go up one more time this year, minimum, because the Fed's already said they're going to increase the interest rate one more time. It will happen. So it's not a secret. I'm right because the answer is in front of you. Actually, you go back. It's whatever the Fed's doing. When they increase interest rates, we benefit from it. At the cost of, if we need to borrow money, it's going to cost more to borrow money. But when we start doing good and like, all right, the economy's stabilizing, we can lower interest rates again so people can start putting the money back out there and stop trying to hold on to it. We need them to spend the money. The moment they start spending the money, that's when interest rates will go down for loans because they need to get the money to spend it, and for savings accounts. It is a side by side. It doesn't happen simultaneously, but it does happen if this, then this. That always is the case. So to answer your question, what your wife predicts, it is all incumbent on what the Fed does next. Whatever they do, whenever they announce something, hey, Jerome Powell, whatever comes out of his mouth dictates what happens to the interest rate, roughly about 30 to 60 days, maybe 90. I don't think that long, but roughly 30 to 60 days. After that, you do see the adjustments of that.
So change guaranteed. How much change not guaranteed?
Nobody knows. If we could predict that, then everybody would be investing in the market appropriately or pulling their money out of the market and waiting for that.
There's no way.
You can't predict that, but change inevitably will happen because we are doing the balancing act of inflation. Because the politics say we're not in a recession, but then two back-to-back GDP says that negative growth, then you're in a recession. So all this gribbly-gobbly talk is all it's saying is that we're trying to control how the influx of cash is happening in our economy.
I just base it off of the price of Little Caesars.
That's
love my
that.
Inflation.
Mine is Arizona iced teas.
I saw Little Caesars is like hot and ready, $7.99. I was like, oh, it's not looking too good.
Remember $5.99? Oh.
It was $4.99 a couple years ago.
When the dollar menu went to the value menu, I was like, oh no. We can't go to McDonald's anymore.
Well, we don't have gas to compare anymore. So.
That's another good indicator, actually. If you wanted to look at gas prices, that can give you a good idea.
What's the price per kilowatt hour? Anyway.
Yeah. On
that note, I think it's time for another show. Do you have final thoughts on Google Barf?
No, not on that, but to our audience, to our listeners or viewers, I hope you enjoyed this extra long podcast to make up for last week. This is a treat for you guys because you guys did us a solid. We appreciate you, and stay tuned for hopefully regular co-hosts and all soon to be.
Yeah. Sorry for holding you all hostage.
I wouldn't change a thing.
Bye-bye.
Bye.